Am I still bullish on the future of Tezos? Yes, I am. And its native cryptocurrency called XTZ may be going to the price of $10 during this bull run, at least the idea of it. That right there wouldn't surprise me whatsoever, even though nothing I say is financial advice. And here's the thing, I get it. As of right now, the market isn't doing that good. Of course, we're seeing, Bitcoin, a bunch of altcoins having a pullback. But the way you take a look at it is this. That doesn't mean that Tezos has bad fundamentals, right? Also, on top of that, I don't think that, especially in the very long term, it's going to diminish Tezos in any way because I still think that it's fundamentally amazing. And the reason why I think so is because, yes, there's many blockchains out there, but I think Tezos really holds a unique place in a sense that it's fundamentally amazing. I mean, we just have to think about this, right? When we take a look at its partnerships, we'll see how Tezos is partners with McLaren, very famous, right? We take a look at Manchester United, very popular soccer team, not to mention we take a look at even Ubisoft. So when we take a look at it, would a bad project, quote unquote, be able to have partnerships like that? I don't think so. So that, if anything, I think showcases how amazing Tezos is. And unlike other blockchains out there, which many people arguably say are better than Tezos, and that's debatable, right? But the way to take a look at it is that Tezos has a very amazing community. It's very passionate. Also on top of that, XTZ is listed in many major exchanges. So it's very amazing. The exposure is there. The community is there. I get it. It's not some random micro cap. But the way I take a look at it is that I don't mind because this for me is something that I really am bullish on because I just think that it represents a very unique project that may not be the coolest or most interesting, but at least has a good presence and a good community. And that is something that I really do look for in a lot of projects. Now, also, let's take a look at how when it comes to Tezos, there's already many projects on it spanning across sectors such as DeFi, which of course stands for decentralized finance, NFTs, and as well as gaming. Now, why do I think this could be bullish for the future of Tezos? It's because if we take a look at both the DeFi and as well as the NFT market, according to Grandview Research, they do predict that by 2030, both each individually, the NFT and DeFi market is expected to again each be worth over $200 billion by that date, again, which is 2030. That's pretty massive. It may never happen because it's just a prediction, right? But the way you take a look at it is that, of course, I think that in theory, if let's say the markets in those areas do pick up, I think the projects that are on Tezos could very well go along with the ride. Now, last but not least, let's talk about blockchain gaming because this is something that I'm very excited about. But of course, with the market not doing that good as of right now, not many people are just going to be bullish on blockchain gaming, but still, I still think that there's a bright future there because yet again, according to Grandview Research, because, they like to predict things, but by 2030, they predict that the blockchain gaming market is expected to be worth over $300 billion. So, I mean, that's very impressive in my opinion. The way you take a look at it is that Tezos is a very complete project. It's pretty well established. And man, I do really like it. Sometimes people like to ask me, oh, why don't you pull up a price chart, draw some random triangles and do all this type of stuff? Well, it's because the way to take a look at it is that if I draw things on a price chart, how is that going to affect the market? The market's not going to listen to that. It's not going to pay attention to that. So why would I even do that? It would be like a waste of time just in my personal perspective. Like I wouldn't want to do that, right? So instead, what I do is I focus on the fundamentals. I take a look at the exchange listings. I take a look at the community. I take a look at just the overall package instead of just being super focused on a price chart, which may not necessarily kind of showcase the real fundamentals of a project. Because again, if I'm just taking a look at the price chart, how will I know what the project's all about? When I take a look at XTZ and the idea of it maybe going to the price of $10, at that point, considering current circulating supply, market cap at that point would be around $10.5 billion, which I don't think is too bad, by the way, because, back in 2021, we saw BNB reach over $100 billion in market cap. And even though I think Tezos is never going to kind of like overtake that, especially in the long term, but the way you take a look at it is that why can't something like XTZ kind of achieve a glimpse of what BNB reached like years ago? I'm not saying what BNB could reach during a peak of a hypothetical bull run this time around because only time will tell, but even compared to what it reached like way back then, right? This doesn't even seem that much in my opinion in the grand scheme of things, even though this is all speculation, but I'm just saying. Now, $10 is around a 17x from here. Some people may be complaining at that, but the way you take a look at it is this. It doesn't seem that bad because XTZ is not a small cap by any means. It's pretty big in terms of market cap in the grand scheme of things. And not to mention, Tezos isn't this kind of like unknown project or whatever where the market cap's around like, 500,000 or whatever. That's not the case, right? So I still think it's not bad. Personally for me, if let's say someone said, hey, are you going to acquire like, Bitcoin and whatnot? Well, I get it. Bitcoin's still having a pullback as of right now, and we'll see how low it'll go. But let's say give or take Bitcoin's at around $100,000. And let's say best case scenario, maybe it goes to 300,000. Many people are saying during a fully fledged bull run. That's like around a 3x from here. I get it. It's not bad, but something like XTZ I think is a much better pick for me, even though I do believe that it's more risky than Bitcoin in my perspective. But I'm still willing to take a chance on it nonetheless because it is an altcoin and I am very bullish on altcoins. Historically, we do know that usually altcoins, as a worst case scenario, they typically peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. So 18 months from the last one, which happened in April of last year, would actually mean around October this year. That's still some time there. Now, I'm totally aware that each cycle there's going to be a different sentiment, there's going to be different market conditions. I'm totally aware of that, but that's just more so of kind of like I would say, give or take kind of like a benchmark a little bit, even though it doesn't mean it's going to be accurate this time around. But I'm still going to pay attention to it nonetheless because in the world of cryptocurrencies, things don't take like decades to move very fast. I mean, just take a look at like Bitcoin, right? Take a look at how literally the largest project out there that we have right now, it moved that quickly. If we're talking about gold or the S&P 500, we're talking about a different timeline there. So I'm still optimistic for the whole space overall, even though there's no exact way to tell when things will peak exactly. I will just still continue what I'm doing, which is just dollar cost averaging, just consistently holding and just waiting. That's really it. I mean, sure, I could try to do this, do that, but it really does nothing. I'm just waiting at this point, and however long it'll take, I'll be waiting anyways. But again, only time will tell, but I'm still kind of paying attention to maybe what could altcoins be near the end of this year, even though, again, only time will tell what happens then. However, even besides all that, $10 when it comes to XTZ wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's only the captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.